Now you can start to see these signs that the railroad put up here that got me interested in fighting this. So you can imagine when I saw three guys bebopping down the bluff here, carrying these signs that belong down at the railroad level, if anywhere. They do not belong in a residential neighborhood. The train goes by here 40 feet below where we're standing. And what they're proposing to do is to put a fence through all the backyards here in Del Mar. A 4-foot fence, maybe a 6-foot fence, but it's just a ridiculous idea. It was a 6-foot, now it's 4. Now I'm not sure what they're going to do. So you can see down there are some I-beams. They're putting vertical I-beams into the beach, and the idea is to put a seawall there. So they want to basically put a cap along the top of the deal and decapitate the bluff, smooth it off, and have it look like an industrial zone. Del Mar is probably one of the most iconic, quintessential California beach towns in the whole state. So we don't want Del Mar destroyed.
11th Street is one of the first reef breaks you get, going all the way from La Jolla south, stretching all the way up till you get to Encinitas. And so this is the one reef break between La Jolla and Encinitas that's available for surfers who like that type of wave. And so growing up, this was like my favorite wave. I surfed here, 5-6 days a week, and then I moved away. And so when I moved back to town, I specifically chose an area that was close access to this particular beach just because it's my favorite wave.
I've lived on 11th Street since 1970, so 51 years. And one of the attractions of Del Mar, and especially 11th Street, was because there's a pathway down to the beach from here, and I like to go swimming and surfing, and it was just, it's a great surf spot.
People come down here with a sandwich, they walk over here, they picnic up there, they will go down. I mean, I've seen people, there's 2 goat trails right here. I've seen people carry inflatable rafts, lawn furniture, 2 or 3 kids, guys that are fishing, dog walkers, the whole thing.
I did triathlons, and so this is a perfect place to go for a run along next to the railroad tracks. So just a great lifestyle here. And I'm not the only one. Turns out hundreds of people virtually every day come down here, cross the tracks to go for a walk, go down to the beach and surf or sunbathe. A lot of people just come down here in the afternoons, and it's a beautiful place to see the sunset.
When I first heard about the potential of a fence being built, I said, there's no way. There's just too many people who use it. It's too valuable of a resource. They couldn't do it. But then, hearing about how the North County Transit District might be able to bypass, a vote, and they might be able to just put it out without, asking people. And then I kind of read about this impact study where people are trying to see there's different ways that we can manage it, and they're trying to talk to stakeholders. And so I guess in my heart of hearts, I feel like there's no way they could just block access, right? Like if they're going to fence it out, they would have to think of some way to put a pedestrian bridge or some type of way to get from this side to the other. But if they didn't, then yeah, it would just be devastating, and I could imagine that people would find some alternative means to get across.
If you look on North County website under Newsroom, July 21st press release, it talks about their revised fencing plan, but they also have the earlier plan from Lighten Consulting in there. So they've already hired Civic Pro, which is a railroad infrastructure company, to do all the surveying here to do this. At their May 20th meeting, they voted to spend $400,000 to plan this.
I'd be okay with a fence if they were willing to talk about pedestrian access in certain spots that would, make it easier for us to access the beach. I mean, even now I'd be okay with a pedestrian bridge. Like, I don't like crossing the tracks every day. I don't like having to look up and worry about, may I get hit by a train? But at the same time, I'd rather have access to the beach than not.
This has been open to visitors and residents alike since 1885. People cross the tracks for the last 50 years, and incidents have been extraordinarily rare. So there's really no need to have any kind of a fence here. Some direction to make it easier to cross the tracks would make it safer than it is today. So what I'd like to see North County Transit District do is to come down here and have it more accessible for handicapped people, and just safer and easier to cross the tracks. They're wide open, and we should be able to have access to it all the time.
Again, I would just want to know what's the added benefit, because the cost, even if they gave us access, is added concrete into the bluff and potentially increasing the pace with which this bluff is eroded. And if they go through with chopping off this entire top, I just think that's an unnecessary. I don't understand why they would do it, but it's definitely like part of their proposal is leveling this whole thing down and taking away this like increased height of the bluff there. And so I just don't, again, that's like irreversible damage for something that, 10 years from now, they might build a new track 10 miles inland and it was all for naught. And so you do this irreversible damage for something that was only helping us out for 5 years.
I don't want to live the rest of my life looking at sunsets and dolphins and pelicans through a fence. That's ridiculous. Whether it's a 4-foot fence or a 6-foot fence, it's a bad idea. So we want to work with North County. We want to work with Sandag, but don't destroy our community.
North County Transit District has a tremendous opportunity to do something like was recently done in San Clemente. So San Clemente had the same situation that we have here. They have railroad tracks. They happen to be on the beach, not the bluff, but they had people walking and crossing the tracks, so they put in a rail trail. And if we could have something like that here, it would be fabulous.
Look at this view. This is as nice as it gets. So we want to keep Del Mar, Del Mar. We don't want Del Mar to be destroyed. We need to save the bluff.